Let's take a look at Scott's first round redraft next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. As always, make sure to follow and stream us on Spotify. Today is Wednesday, July 20th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White. And let's start with the first 3 picks. And this is, of course, for 12-team 5x5 Roto Leagues. The top 3, Jose Ramirez, Ronald Acuna, Trey Turner. Scott, I think that there's a very clear top 3, at least as of now.
Yeah, I mean, for that scoring format, there is, you get all 3 of them are base stealers. I think Jose Ramirez, even if you're talking a points league, would probably be number 1 because he's such a clear standout at the weakest position. And in points leagues, he doesn't strike out much. But in 5x5 league, of course, you're prioritizing stolen bases. Maybe the most questionable would be Ronald Acuna based on the first half he's had. Of course, only really played a quarter of the season because he was out recovering from that torn ACL at the start. And the hitting numbers haven't been quite up to snuff, what we're used to seeing from him. But I think it's just because he hasn't gotten hot yet over that relatively small sample. I've been encouraged that he's continued to run with reckless abandon, even coming off that torn ACL. And it wouldn't surprise me if he actually was the single best player in Roto from today forward.
Yep, I'm right there with you. Picks 4 through 6, we've got Aaron Judge, Yordan Alvarez, and Mookie Betts. Scott, how worried are you about this hand inflammation that Yordan Alvarez is dealing with? He was on the IL, right before hitting the All-Star break.
Worried enough that I almost dropped him behind Betts, which, maybe doesn't sound that worried, but I think Judge and Alvarez are a clear 4 and 5. If there wasn't that concern about the hand, they're kind of mirror images of each other in terms of how hard they impact the ball. I think they're the best in baseball in that regard. Alvarez, of course, bats lefty, Judge righty. And, with the hand for Alvarez, when he initially heard it, they thought it was a hamate bone injury, which would, of course, change the complexion of his season. He came back without an IL stint and was crushing it right away. But Dusty Baker said that the pain in that hand's just gotten worse and worse. So they're hoping shutting him down through the All-Star break will make him fine for the rest of the season. But I do have some concerns about that with Alvarez.
Pick 7 through 9, we've got Rafael Devers, Mike Trout, and Juan Soto. Scott, obviously, 2 huge names here in the game, and Trout and Soto. And, for years they've been, top 3, top 5 picks. People might, find it a little bit surprising that they're a little bit lower in the first round now.
Yeah, they might. With Trout, we did this process around Memorial Day. I had him as the number 1 overall pick because it looked like, for the most part, he was the Trout we all remembered. Last year, obviously, he lost most of it to that calf injury, and I think there were some concerns how he'd come back from that, but he was still impacting the ball very hard and has continued to do that. But I think what's become clear in the quarter of the season since then is that Mike Trout is more prone to strikeouts now. And this was something we saw during that time he played last year as well. And this year, closer to 30% with that strikeout rate than the 20% where he was in the past. And that's a high strikeout rate. It's hard to hit for a 300 average or even a high batting average, whatever number you put on that, with a strikeout rate that high. So, if Trout's not a base stealer anymore and he's not a reliable source of batting average anymore, he kind of looks like another Pete Alonso, which is, still a great player, but I don't have Pete Alonso going in the first round, so I'm kind of giving Trout extra credit here just because of his track record.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, can he get that batting average back up and not hit as many fly balls, not strike out as much. So, you give him the benefit of the doubt. He's obviously Mike Trout. But let's finish out the first round here. Picks 10 through 12, all pitchers, kind of. Corbin Burns, Garrett Cole, and Shohei Ohtani, who you could, of course, use as a pitcher, but I think more often than not, you are using as a hitter. Scott, what do you think about getting some pitchers here in the first round?
Oh, I'm not sure if I totally love the idea. It's one of those, I feel like maybe they should go here, so I'm going to put them here. I was afraid of just having this giant clump of pitchers in my second round that would include like Sandy Alcantara, Justin Verlander, just all in a row, pitcher. So I put Burns and Cole here because, of course, they're the what we expected to be the top 2 coming in, and they've mostly lived up to it. Cole, of course, has a very long track record of success. And so just for safety reasons, I'm giving them a bit of an edge here. But if you wanted to prioritize steals specifically, Ohtani ahead of them, I think would be fine. Ohtani's actually been one of the biggest underperformers of his expected stats this year. His strikeout rate's down quite a bit from where we saw it last year. So, while just on merit, he deserves being drafted this high, I think you can make the case better days are ahead for Ohtani.
And if you're wondering, where is Julio Rodriguez? 15th overall is where Scott has him in his top 2-round redraft, which you can find over on the site. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.